Hey there, welcome to Charting Toward Intimacy, where we're expanding the natural family planning conversation. I'm your host, Ellen Holloway. All right, everybody, we are here today for our Sympto-Thermal method episode. And we have joining us Carlos and Mariana, who are instructors in the Couple to Couple League. And I am an instructor in SymptoPro. And so we're going to discuss about the Sympto-Thermal method. And so as a basic overview, a Sympto-Thermal method is going to use both basal body temperature as well as cervical mucus, either seen or felt with sensation, as a cross-check to determine if ovulation has happened and the fertile window is going to open with cervical mucus. As a basic sense, there's additional signs and things, and we'll get into that as we start discussing this. So Carlos and Mariana, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. All right. So could you just start by telling us a little bit about the Couple to Couple League, their Sympto-Thermal method?
Yeah, Couple to Couple League is a non-profit organization, and I forgot the exact year, but it was created after 3 years after Humane Vitae, the encyclical, and it was born from the need of, okay, Humane Vitae is saying that we should use natural methods, but people didn't know much about it, right? So
Sure.
that's why Couple to Couple League was created, and also, as the name says, couple to couple, because Humane Vitae was saying couples should be teaching other couples, right?
Yeah, there was an actual call in Humane Vitae saying couples. I think Paul the Sixth, yeah.
Right. Yes. Pope Paul VI.
yeah. Calling couples to teach other couples, and this came out of, as a result of that calling.
Yeah, so from the beginning, it's been really couples teaching other couples. It's always, what we like about our organization is that is husband and wife get involved, right? It's not only
Yeah. Yeah, because I think typically when it comes to, natural family planning or birth control, everything sort of always falls on the wife's shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess one of the ideas of Couple to Couple is that both husband and wife have to be on this together.
Sure. Yeah. And that is a really cool calling. And that's specific to Couple to Couple League, I believe, that the instructors for the method are a couple. And that's really cool. And I teach SymptoPro, which is also a Sympto-Thermal method. The method in themselves are extremely similar. I think kind of one of the biggest differences is that couples do not need to teach SymptoPro. My husband and I actually do teach together, but that's not the norm for SymptoPro. That's really probably the biggest difference with the two. All right, so let's talk a little bit about charting. With Couple to Couple League, what are kind of the options for charting, paper charting, online charting, app charting, that kind of thing?
Want to take that one?
Yeah, so we have the paper charting, and that's when you record there on paper the three signs. It's 3 signs in the paper in the chart, and Couple to Couple provides the charts. So you have these 3 signs. You have
maybe that will go into those details later.
You can talk about those now. No, that's fine. Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
Well, temperature, the basal temperature, then the mucus observations, and then the cervix also observations. Which this is the 3rd sign. I don't know if your method uses that 3rd one.
I think it's the same. It's the
right. So we have the cervix sign, and we definitely encourage people who want to use it, but it's not required for our method. Is the cervix sign required for yours?
No, it's not.
Okay. Yeah. So
probably in the chart, it can in the paper chart. You can well, it also has the part when you register that observation, and
then we also, there's an app. It's called SymptoPro Go, and then you just download it on your phone, and then it you can just track it, all your signs on your phone, so you don't have to do it on paper.
Yeah, and that app has been getting smarter and smarter. So
the algorithm.
The algorithm. To be honest, we don't use the app. We are, I don't know, traditional. We like paper. When we work in computers, but we use paper. We haven't used the app much. We haven't felt the need. But the news that we get from couple to couple and all that, we see that they're continuously updating the app, and now it's supposed to be very simple. It basically, you just put the signs what you are seeing that day, every day, and then it will interpret all that. Everything.
Oh, so the app actually helps with the interpretation part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool. Very interesting.
Which from what I understand, it has helped a lot with teaching the method, because there are not many couples out there that can teach it. So there's a struggle, in finding couples that will have a session. So I think some of the classes have been simplified, and then with using the app, then it will, like, you have like an extra guidance in the app where it will interpret everything for you.
Sure. Yeah. With SymptoPro, of course, we have the paper charts. I think basically every method has a paper chart option. And then SymptoPro also has an online charting program. It's not like an app on your phone, but it's an online charting program that you can get access to. And it's kind of easy to share it with your instructor on there. And then if you want to use an app on your phone, we usually suggest Kindara. That's the one that we, and as instructors, we're kind of trained in a basic way to use Kindara. Depending on the instructor in SymptoPro, you could definitely use a different app. And that's just kind of based on the instructor's willingness and comfortability with that specific app. I know I've seen people use Read Your Body, which I've heard is a great app. But again, that would just be a discussion with the instructor, likely. So the signs that are charted with SymptoPro, on our kind of paper charts, you sort of have 4 lines. There's the temperature, the basal body temperature. There's the tissue exam or the cervical mucus observed. And then there's also a sensation observation. And then there's the optional cervix check. And so what we encourage as SymptoPro instructors is doing the basal body temperature, the tissue exam, and the sensation. But you can, if one of the two tissue or sensation isn't working well for you, you can drop it away, but we really suggest having all 3 of those. Do you guys have a sensation observation as well?
Yeah, we have both. We have the sensation, and it's everything that the woman feels as she goes about her day, with her activities that she has during the day. And then the observation, and it's whatever she observes when every visit she has to the bathroom.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
Equivalent to, you are calling it the tissue.
The tissue.
Yeah, we call it the tissue, but yeah, it's the observation basically when you go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. So essentially, these 2 Sympto-Thermal methods are extremely similar in what we're observing, what we're recording. And also, from what I understand, the rules are extremely similar. We're not going to get into the specific rules. That's for when you go take a class. But so let's talk about the class procedure, because I think this is definitely the place really where these two methods separate. We were talking about couple to couple league is couple to couple. So tell me a little bit about kind of what the class structure looks like. How many basic classes are there? You don't need to talk about specific costs because those kind of things change all the time. Yeah, go ahead.
So to learn the Sympto-Thermal method with a couple to couple league, you have to take a class. It's actually 3 sessions, one each month. So it takes about 2 months to learn it. And then each session will be maybe 3 to 4 hours, depending on how big is the group. And then we ask the students to bring their charts on the following session. I think that's why it was structured that way. It's not that you could not learn it in one day, but it's kind of having at least 2 months in which you take the students, by the hand. And then because they for sure they will have questions, or they will see some things in their charts that they did not learn during the class, so they can always bring it the next session, and that's part of their homework. So we'll go over their charts and help them interpret it. So that's like the traditional in-person class, and that's, I think for me, it's the one that I like the most, because you get to talk to the couples, and they can have some time to chat with you individually if they have like more private questions that they don't want to ask with the whole group. And then we also have the online.
Yeah, we have the online sessions, which are and now that option is becoming more popular, to be honest. And you can understand now that new generations are more online.
Yeah, definitely.
So new couples now they are going for the online option, and that's also a very good class, and it looks high quality, and that's multiple sessions, and you can do it at your own pace.
Yeah, there are two options for the online. It's the live online and then the self-paced online.
Yeah, I was talking about self-paced. So you have the lessons that you, at your own pace, you follow the lessons, and you get assigned an instructor, some person that you can email in case you have questions. So usually, we get constantly emails that, okay, you have a new couple assigned to you, and they send us questions like, okay, I have a question about this lesson or something that I'm seeing, or different type of questions, and we answer them. But that online mode is kind of very
and I think lately, with the pandemic, and even before that, people tend to be very busy, especially couples. If they have this as a requirement, and they for their marriage, it's easier to do it at their own pace. And then there's another option. So we teach in English and Spanish, and there are very few instructors in Spanish. So that's been a big problem. We've had to travel long distances to bring a class to another community. So there's this other option in which you don't have to have a teaching couple. You just have a facilitator on site, and they hand them, I think it's a DVD with a class. So they just facilitate the class. They just put on the DVD, but they don't provide any, they don't answer questions or anything like that. They will have to go to their assigned teaching couple.
Okay. Oh, that's really interesting. Very cool. The basic class for SymptoPro, there's also 3 sessions. They are spaced about 2 to 3 weeks apart. And each one of the classes is, I believe, about 2 hours. Is usually how long it takes to get through the material. And then there is, like follow-up, kind of very similar to couple league, bringing your charts back to each class, and a little chart check either before or after the class with the instructor. And also the classes don't have to be group. So that's kind of what the group class looks like. SymptoPro can also just teach one-on-one. And that would really be dependent on the instructor and what the instructor was comfortable with. And then SymptoPro has also an online kind of self-paced course. Very similar. You would also get assigned an instructor. And so you have that option as well. And then most SymptoPro instructors will do a Zoom class. I actually haven't done an in-person class for a while. I'm still doing just Zoom classes. So you're able to connect with a SymptoPro instructor that doesn't have to be in your area if that's something that you're looking for.
SymptoPro also has an online class option that you can access through the SymptoPro website, which of course all of the website links are going to be in the show notes. So that's also an option. It's kind of semi self-paced, and you are communicating with an instructor via email while doing that class. So those are the options there.
I wanted to talk next about kind of follow-up. What is the basic kind of follow-up structure beyond the class? So with couple to couple league, a couple takes the class. It's about 2 months roughly. What happens after that? Is there a set follow-up procedure? Is it kind of just based on what the couple is looking for or needs help with? What does that look like?
So we are to follow up with a couple. I believe it's 3 months and then 6 months after the class, and then it's up to the couple to follow up with you. We usually, during our classes, we give them our contact information and just tell them, you can email us, text us, call us. Just don't be shy, to reach out, because I think it's a very, difficult subject, to talk about, and we just want them to feel comfortable reaching out to us.
Yeah, also for a year, they keep receiving the Couple to Couple magazine. So with what they pay for the course, for the class, they get the magazine for 1 year. Yeah, and they keep getting email from Couple to Couple.
Cool. With SymptoPro, it is suggested that the instructors kind of do monthly or cycle-wise chart checks for about 6 months. But it's also dependent on the couple and what kind of support they're looking for. SymptoPro has kind of a motto of, a lifetime of support. And so the idea is that you'd always be able to do a quick chart check or ask a quick question to an instructor or to your instructor. If you needed more follow-up than just a quick question or a quick chart check, then the instructor could work out with you some kind of a payment for, an additional class if you needed a refresher class or something like that. But typically the SymptoPro instructors will be happy to, do a quick chart check for you at any point after you've taken a class with them. So very cool. Very similar, I think. And then I think we have basically addressed this, but I want to kind of put it out there outright. So with Couple to Couple League, you do need to be a couple to learn through Couple to Couple League, correct?
You don't need to be a couple. That's the ideal. But we've had situations in which just the wife comes to the class. We would not turn them away. And sure. This is just to encourage the husbands to get involved. But it's not a requirement.
Okay. Yeah, I would say that's pretty similar to where SymptoPro sits. We really encourage the couples to learn together. But of course, we wouldn't turn away someone who wanted to learn just on their own, or it was impossible for the husband to come. And then Additionally, depending on the instructor, the class of SymptoPro is definitely built for couples who are married or preparing for marriage. Most of the instruction material is really based a lot around that. And I think that's probably very similar to the couple to couple league class. And so if there was a single woman who wanted to learn to chart, that would definitely be possible. But you'd want to chat with the instructor first and see if they have a slightly modified program that they want to put you through. Yeah, I though at least kind of the way that the SymptoPro classes are set up, I typically, if there's a single woman who just wants to learn how to chart just for knowledge and not necessarily wants to really dive into all of the details, I would just have them come to our first class and then just not even come to the second two, because the second two really dive into specific circumstances like postpartum and things like that. And then also really dive into the rules. So if someone is looking to just chart for health and just wants that knowledge, they don't really need classes 2 and 3. So that's personally how I do it. Of course, this would be very dependent on the instructor. And so like we've said in the other episodes of this series, one of the most important things you can do is just have a quick conversation with an instructor before you take their class. Most instructors are happy to have a 15-minute consult or just a quick conversation, or even just answer questions via email before you sign up for a class. And so you can ask all these questions. You can find out if this really is the right method for you, if this really is the right instructor for you, and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And then something else to just, this is kind of our last topic that I wanted to cover, is medical management. And some other methods have very specific medical management that are attached to their method, or there are doctors or medical professionals who are trained in that method. That's not really the case for either couple to couple league or SymptoPro. Instructors are trained to be able to notice things that might need a medical referral. And so your instructor in that method probably has doctors that they know to refer to, who would be willing to look into certain cycle irregularities or abnormalities. But there isn't a specific medical management component that's attached to either of these two methods. Did you guys want to add anything else into that?
Yeah, that's correct. What you just said. Yeah, as you mentioned, during our training, we had one of the parts of our training was to at least sort of identify, red flags, like,
right,
like excessive bleeding, or I don't know, like, and then to always tell them, you should check with your doctor, but it's always, don't diagnose them. You just send them to the doctor.
Right. We are trained in these methods, but we're not medical professionals.
Yeah, exactly. And then we try to make that clear when we teach, so they don't look at us like, oh, they'll know it's something's wrong. So we put that out there, and we say, we are not, medical experts or anything like that. Just go to your doctor if you notice something unusual.
Awesome. Great. Well, just to kind of recap between these two methods, so a Sympto-Thermal method, again, is going to use basal body temperature, and it's going to use the mucus sign primarily. There's a couple different ways to take a look at the mucus sign. There is a observation when you go to the bathroom, actually looking at your mucus and categorizing it in a certain way. And then there's also something called sensation, which is kind of a throughout the day observing the sensation at the vaginal canal, and then charting that at the end of the day. And so it's going to use those three things. It's really two, but it's kind of three. You chart it as three things. And there's specific rules attached to those things. And then there are additional signs that can be charted, like the cervix sign is a very common one. And there's a couple of other ones that you can additionally shine. And so Sympto-Thermal is great for someone who is looking for a cross check, who's looking to just kind of have a little bit more detail than just, say, like a mucus only method, somebody who wants to have also something else to cross check it. In order to confirm ovulation for a Sympto-Thermal method, you have to have an accurate temperature reading, as well as the mucus sign to be able to build out that rule. Of course, in special circumstances, both methods have specific rules when things don't work out, to get through that. But that's in the basic sense. And I think one more thing to mention about Sympto-Thermal is it is very important that you are able to read your basal body temperature at basically the same time every morning, first thing in the morning. So a Sympto-Thermal method works well for many, many people, but one class of people that it really does not work well for are people who work shift work, who don't have a daily schedule, who can't, every single day read their temperature at 6:30 a.m. or 7 a.m. or whenever you wake up. Well, before we close out, was there anything else that you wanted to mention about couple to couple league or Sympto-Thermal method in general?
Yes. So because I forgot to mention about the classes that couple to couple league gives, and there are two more classes that I don't know if you have it, which is the postpartum class and the premenopausal class, which because those are there are changes during those periods,
right?
So it's important for us to for the couple that they have their own class. So those are two additional classes that we also give.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. And it's a little different with SymptoPro. Those circumstances are included kind of basically in the main course. But then an instructor will likely kind of set up an additional time for questions and going deeper into the specific rules and the specific protocols for those times, with a couple who needs to chart like that, a postpartum couple or a perimenopause couple. But there isn't a specific class that is like set up for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think probably that part is similar. We also just covered the basics, postpartum and pre-menopause, but we don't go into the details because by the time they get there, probably they forgot.
Right. It's the protocols are slightly different for those times. And it's important to get a refresher for that right when it's happening or right before it's happening, instead of just trying to remember from 1 to 5, 10 years ago when you took your initial course.
Yeah. But at least they have an idea like, oh, I think this can work during those situations as well.
I need to call my instructor or take the class, right?
Yeah,
right. Exactly. Yes. If you're going through one of those times and you haven't called your instructor yet, you should.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much, Carlos and Mariana. This was amazing. What a great conversation. I hope those of you listening were able to kind of get your basic questions answered about Sympto-Thermal methods, and specifically couple to couple league and SymptoPro. As we said, the two methods are actually really similar. There is a little bit difference in just kind of the way that they're taught slightly, but they're really very similar courses. And I do want to mention too, if you have additional questions for this, my email is in the show notes, as well as the email for Carlos and Mariana. So you can feel free to reach out and ask questions if you do. Thank you guys both so much. I appreciate your time and all your expertise.
Thank you.
No,
it was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening. Again, this was our Sympto-Thermal episode that is a part of a greater series of the method type episodes and helping you discern what is the right fertility awareness based method type for you. So please, if you haven't already, go back and listen to our mucus only method episode and our symptohormonal method episode. And then next week, we are going to dive into discerning what is the right method for you. So now that you have all of this information, we're going to give you a great list of questions to go through and really think about what types of things are important to you and where might be a good place to start when you are looking to find a fertility awareness based method, or if you're looking to switch, what kind of a method would you want to switch to? So be sure to check those out next week. Until next time.